Hello, welcome back to the finale. It's the TPL division. We have got two teams, Certified Lover Boys, taking on KARN & Co. Both of them. It's their final game of the division, of the round robin stage. They are fighting to be the top team after tonight's best of three. I'm Golimolu. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Chaka. It's lovely to be here with you. How are you feeling for tonight's game?
I always say the same thing, I feel like, when I get asked that question. And my answer is always, I'm excited because, again, it's the last day of groups. And even though it's the last day of groups and both of these two teams are at the top of the standings, I believe K and C are the first place team based on their 3-1 record, having the most points compared to CLB, who are just in the second place division, having, so KARN & Co actually have 11 points, CLB have 9 points. And for the last two games that CLB have played, they're on a two-loss streak in their last two. So for that very reason, if you look at the standings and if you understand how the tiebreaker works, if they lose tonight and Outlast Black win their next game, which is against the Unks, or actually against the Turtle Tactics team, then there's a chance that CLB won't even be in the top two. They'll start off in the lower bracket for the playoffs.
Yeah, and so this is really important for them to scoop up as many points here as they can right at the end. It's a tough opponent to do it against, right? I mean, KARN & Co, they've looked on very strong form all season, right? You've talked to me before. They've had a couple ups and downs recently, right? They've missed some big opportunities, but they always seem to bounce back, and it makes sense when you look at a team that's always able to find new pieces and incorporate them in very quickly. It gives this really strong foundation from which they get to work on, and then they get to rock up and have really strong out-of-the-gate performances. For them, it's about ending this group stage on a high note, making sure they guarantee that spot straight into the upper bracket final as well. It's a really generous jump up. That difference between first and second space, it's massive. You can win in 2 games if you go first seed, win your semi-final, or you end up having to play maybe 4 best of series just to play through that playoffs gauntlet. It's a long road.
Yeah, and another thing that gives you an advantage in the upper bracket is that you actually have more than one chance, whereas if you start off in a lower bracket, you only have one chance, and that can put a lot of pressure on the teams that's already in the position of starting off in that lower bracket playoff spot. Because if you just mess up your own map pick and then you go into your opponents and then lose the whole entire series, then you're out of TPL if you start off in that lower bracket. So this is a really big game for CLB. I'm pretty sure not just for the fact that they might start off in that lower bracket spot in playoffs, but also just for their confidence. There's a lot of high hopes for this roster. It looks like a really good team. There's former pros on it. There should be no reason as to why they can't make this game competitive against KARN & Co.
No, I mean, we can take a look at this CLB lineup, right? And again, plenty of names that you should know very, very comfortably. In Hat, Rice, they've made these big appearances for themselves. Asian all around the place as well. A couple titles to himself. We always do have to highlight this. No pick sent in. Okay? Look, 4's good. It's a good record. Are you a fan of this? No picture sent in. But I don't know. Do KARN & Co also have it together? Right, are we going to see the full unison? I am yet to see a full set of 5 with a picture check.
Yeah, I will talk about CLB just a little bit more. I know Nick has a picture somewhere, but I guess he just didn't really send a more recent one, which is fair, because I'm pretty sure I saw him have one during Element 2. By the way, CLB, I mentioned this I think last week. CLB are the same roster from Element 2. Nick was on this team alongside Rice, Asian, and it wasn't Center. Spiff was on this team, and it was I'm gonna figure it out later. But other than that, CLB, this team has been on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to Turtle Tactics, and then more recently lost to No Mama's Way when I didn't really expect them to lose that game. And post the first map that they won pretty dominantly, they did not look like the better team throughout that whole entire series. It was a complete runaway from No Mama's Way. So you come into this game not just for your own confidence, you also have to consider playoff qualification and what this loss would mean if they end up in that 3rd to 4th spot.
Yeah, and KARN & Co as well, and I think it was the same 4. I did a quick little background check. It was the same 4, just changing in that spiff. We have another 4 out of 5. So, Even Stevens coming in off of the photo game. Tell me about KARN & Co.
About KARN & Co. Oh man,
Where,
I don't even know where to begin.
What's your thoughts?
Well, like the thing about KARN is the fact that like this team has been a revolving door for players leaving and going as they please. I remember like Zach was originally on this team like before like Crucible qualifiers happened, and then when KARN didn't make the Crucible qualifiers, Zach joined Slime Belief. Post Challenger Series, he's joined back on this team. Foresight, DD, were on this team throughout the Challenger Series. Big Bands more recently joined this team throughout the second qualifiers of the finale. So you have players coming and going as they please. I think this has probably been the longest time for I think about like 2 years that KARN has had like a roster stay together for a little bit, and it's more than likely because they are performing well together. They have a 3-1 record that's better than CLB, the favorites to top the TPL division. So it looks all good, but I hope that post the finale, if they bomb out of playoffs, for example, that they just don't start making roster changes like DD, everybody starts to leave, and it's only KARN who's then trying to like put like T3 and T4 players together on this team, because I don't know how good that'll work in the future.
Yeah, it is really interesting, right? I mean, you have had so many chops and changes, and they go through these stints where they do perform very well, but it's not just KARN, right? It's just sort of the difficulty of how the system breaks down, right? It's the same in NA, it happens in the stomping grounds over in Europe as well. You just see this big change up that people just feel that they need to do, right? They go, oh, we've had a really bad run here. Rather than firming it out and trying to make it work, we just go, look, let's take the shorthand solution. There's another event in 2 weeks' time. Let me go grab a new stack, try and re-go for this one. You get that honeymoon period, everything goes smoothly. It's about keeping it going once things start to get just a little bit bumpy. But the best of 3 up for you tonight. Let's find out where we're going to be playing as we jump into our veto. And I mean, immediately taken off. Chalet, Border, some kind of aggressive maps out of the cut. Layer Labs gone, our new additions. It's quite an interesting spread coming through. I mean, still an interesting bit of variety through.
Yeah, I would have thought that after the last 2 games that CLB played, Clubhouse making an appearance in both of those series and CLB losing them miserably both times, that they would have banned out Clubhouse. They don't really play Labs, and Chalet was kind of a disaster for them against Turtle Tactics, so I understand why those maps would go. Also, Sky is a permaban for CLB too, so that really just leaves KARN to pick between Bank or Clubhouse, and obviously they're going to ban Bank because CLB are pretty decent on that map. So first couple of picks are Consulate and Cafe. I think Consulate's a very interesting pick for CLB. Just because, like, more recently, at least with this roster, this edition of CLB, they've been more comfortable with letting Consulate sit open for them or even their opponents to pick into. Like, they're not uncomfortable on this map as they were in Element 2.
Yeah, I'm a big Consulate fan as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing it come through. I will say, fair warning, if we see some Amaru flying into CEO window, I might get a little upset. Jackie, you're well aware
I don't that
like the grapple look into the window and just hop in and out. Let's please, I beg of you, just don't do it. Don't do it. Leave it aside. Leave it away. But Consulate up first, pretty spicy. KARN & Co. They get to choose the side, obviously being CLB's map pick, and of course, it's Consulate, sorry. You're going to pick the defensive end of things. Why would you ever opt into attacking first? I've seen it done before. Every single time it is questionable, to say the least. So I like that we're not trying to be too fancy as we jump on here for the first bans, and obviously KARN & Co. They're going to cut away an attacker to kick us off.
And going to be an attacking ban from KARN & Co. Of course, they take away the Blitz. I mean, they have Center on the other team, and he literally mains Blitz. If you leave Blitz open against CLB, and specifically Center, you're more than likely going to have a couple of rough rounds of the defense. Second ban comes up for CLB. They ban a Dokkaebi, and I think there's a lot of implications for that, especially when they switch over to their defenses, because Dokkaebi is really good at clearing a difficult-to-clear map, like Consulate is when you consider just how many like turns and twists this map provides, especially around that second floor. So removing the Dokkaebi makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, you do get rid of the Blitz, but you still have both the Blackbeard and the Monty available to play for both of these teams. And I mean, we saw the power of Blackbeard very recently. It's been banned an incredibly high frequency. The Valkyrie off the table again. I think this is a map where you do want that information to be able to scout out and enable your roam game as the defenders. So cutting it off, Kaid. You know, I can see the argument for getting rid of some of this external denial, right? You still got bandits on mutes if teams really want to commit to it, but with 2 Bram on the board as well, it certainly becomes quite a task if you're either fighting for hatch control or even just looking for these external breaches. You're attacking under the basement. You want to be able to get into garage pretty comfortably, or if you're coming from the backside, you don't want to get stuck up on the external wall down into walk-in or, you know, coming through from server. So I do like this set of bans. I think it is quite a fair representation for Consulate.
Yeah, you also leave options open on the defense though. A zombie's gonna make an appearance, so is Castle. Castle doesn't see bans on Consulate all that often, or really at all. It's mainly just the zombie I'm worried about. You still have other strong defenders too, not just those two, such as the Fenrir, as well as like Bandit and Tuberal, so that's gonna leave a lot to be questioned, especially once we switch over to the basement defenses for Karnico. If they will pick into those operators, will they play into heavy denial because they have those options available to them with them being unbanned?
Well, we're starting off. No one looking through any of these external windows just yet. Teams giving each other a chance to get a comfy start, right? A couple silhouettes running around inside of Visa up on the top floor, but no one wants to exchange blows within the first 30 seconds, and I can respect that, right? You start off the series nice and slow. For KARN and Co, it's about not losing anyone off in this early flurry. There's immediately Lion trying to walk in through, looking up to the verticals, but looks away at just the wrong timing. Is being held afterwards, but making good progress through this middle floor, and it kind of challenges someone from KARN and Co to come down and try and deal with it.
Oh my gosh. They're doing a Amaru play. That's why they're taking Vert so quickly, and they also have the Yin Candelas as well to help support this push through the meeting window, and the plant is going down.
Immediately 50% through before the Toxic Babes go down. Rise to committing to sticking it down and gets it just in the nick of time. Hat with a double kill, now swinging in through the window aggressively with all the attention from the defense focused onto the window, and Deity all of a sudden finds himself on his own downstairs, hunting for anything, but couldn't get there in time to deny with a Nitro Cell. Just the response coming in from the defense from KARN & Co, it was far too slow. There's no way you can be allowed to just let them chill with that.
Yeah, and almost really no denial for the Yin Candelas neither. That's what allowed them to be so effective over by Meeting Room. KARN & Co, again, really had no way of denying that push from being as successful as it was from CLB, especially once the Yin kind of like repelled in from the meeting single window while the confusion was going down. So while the smoke grenades did land for KARN & Co, and they did do a lot of damage onto Hat, he was already like halfway through the plant. So your point about them like reacting a bit too slowly is true, but also they just had really nothing to counter the Ying for that meeting window play that CLB had set up from the very beginning.
Yeah, and that's what this is. It's prying on it, right? Like, you are hoping your opponent gets distracted by something and just doesn't see it coming, right? You just go, oh, we'll make some noise downstairs, we'll make them look this way, and really we're just going to fly in through a window and try and catch them by surprise, and it worked, right? I mean, it's what it's designed to do.
Head into a pause here as well. I think it's a tech pause. I think
I would have
Stan
thought
literally
so.
Stan literally just said, I think it was like an audio issue. But, I mean, are KARN & Co going to go back to that second floor and maybe pick more operators tailored to the type of attack CLB did? Easy answer is probably yes, but then another easy answer to that is that CLB would probably figure out that they're going to be trying something new, like maybe a more heavy commitment to the offices, an offices attack, and so they'll probably just like attack the other side or something like that. So it'd be pretty easy to think that KARN & Co might just go for a newer site post that round ending.
Yeah, I could see that as well. It looks like we might be jumping to a short break, however, Chaka. While we just get this sorted out, we get the lobby adjusted, hope that everything comes back smoothly. We shouldn't be too long, so don't wander too far, or turn the volume up so you can hear it in the kitchen while you grab yourself a snack. We'll be with you very, very shortly. And we are back. Round 2 action as we load into the lobby. It was KARN and Co getting caught off guard in round number 1 with the aggressive play from the Gara hook rappel from the Amaru, facilitated by the Ying. This time, they're not rehashing the top floor, they're instead heading down into the basement to kick things off for round number 2. They want to go for a different scenery to try and get their first win on the board.
Seems like they want to commit to a roam around the middle floor as well, using the information that they grab at least from the drones that the Monty Pest will grab if they're successful with it. Also, what I noticed with some Mozzie players is that sometimes they don't even really use the drones. They just like use his secondary, his main gadget in order to just trap the drones and then just like get him away from the attack. Yeah, just like let him die. So it wouldn't be too surprising if DD doesn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be too surprising if DD follows that trend, but it is a heavy roam nonetheless from KARN and Go with somebody playing around the second floor, 2 people at least.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting lineup as well, right? We talked about the Blitz being taken away, are the shields still available? That's the Monty being picked up by Center, like you highlighted, someone who's very proficient on these shields. Rice coming through, though, has both the EMPs and the hard breach charge, so it's his job to try and open up this wall as best he can, but as a bandit, it's Carnage waiting on the other side, and that will make things quite difficult. Those hard breach charges, it's relatively easy to trick out, so quite telegraphed.
Yeah, and the only thing you really have to get around the bandit trick is the EMP impact, so I wouldn't be really too surprised if, well, now KARN and Co are switching to the other side of the map, but I also would have suggested that they take vertical control, so they are going for a opposite side push, and they get the first kill from this side too.
Yeah, DT going down, and that's going to send the rest of the roamers to the bottom once again. Monty wanted to make some way up the corridor, but being patient for the time being. One charge already caught off, a second EMP being used, but you can already see Carnage placing that charge down. Falls off, recognizes that it wasn't going to go through. They have to give up the wall, but they can focus a little bit more on the backside of this push now. A smoke grenade being used to close off the mirror window, give Center a little bit more space to walk forwards. But Vic Band's causing some havoc. Now able to get back to site as well. Aggression up yellow, trying to mess with this verticality that's trying to be established. Rice, on his way to join the team, goes down. A flank coming through for Zach Killer as well. Catches the Glaz in the smoke, gets the injury on him because he just didn't know. Gumine's being thrown out to try and force this Monty into an awkward position, but instead he works his way deeper into security. Teammate behind him, looking through the hole, but still just a patience to watch him corner this Monty in. The shield can't go anywhere. Want to push down from Spiral Corridor to try and lend some support, but Nick gets caught off by the Bandit too, and the Gumine slows Hat down. 2 versus 4. Again, wants to make this progress, but it's too good. Bullseye watching carefully, and Carnage finishes it off with the Monty in the 1 versus 4. You just got to get aggressive, Chaka. You got to try and make something happen. He gets forced into a corner. Center had nowhere to go that entire round.
Yeah, no, and neither did the rest of KARN and Co, it seemed. It was just a server push, and that was really it. Once they lost the pressure over by Yellow Stairs, KARN and Co understood exactly what CLB were doing, mainly just using the Monty as a way to get information, and the players, and having players like right behind him. I think in that situation, maybe Center could have gotten a little bit more aggressive to throw KARN and Co off of their game, because otherwise, besides like Center just standing there the whole entire time, KARN and Co just like took individual gunfights and won them against CLB, at least the players that were just like far back and like trying to play around the Monty. Also, another tidbit is the fact that CLB didn't really seem like, even with the Monty that far forward, didn't really seem like they had enough info for that whole entire push that they initiated over by server.
Yeah, I mean, you usually get completely boxed out, right? They just walking down a corridor, it's what happens. It is just a bottleneck, and you have to brute force it. I like the use of the smoke, again, trying to buy themselves that space. Yeah, the Glaz there, guys. We should be ready. We just didn't catch.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately just got caught off again, right? It's just that, getting aggressive, being assertive there. And that was the biggest difference to me for KARN and Co. They were on the ball in that last round. Damage dealt both ways from an aggressive spawn peak coming in from Foresight. Nothing round altering just yet. I mean, you know, it's very fine margins in Siege, but I think they can both walk away with this. A little caution in their step, but ultimately both happy to be alive.
And I think this round, CLB are going for a more admin center push, just because the first round they did that office push really aggressively and really quick, KARN and Co are going to be more prepared for it. They even brought the Goyo this time around, plus the smoke grenades. So they're going to be more prepared for it than ever. KARN and Co do start off the very first round with a first pick onto Hat, and that's a striker already down for CLB. And they haven't really even gotten into the map so far. The only player they have in here is Asian all the way on the first floor.
It's always difficult. Again, built up around this far side. Over an admin, jumps up on the table, spots the head of the mute, but drops off the table instead, and Deity punishes him for a slight misstep on the desk. Rice able to grab 2 back and make sure they keep control now and retake it, but an aggressive stance by Deity leaves Rice with a quad after he peeks on a pre-fire and takes down Foresight. Carnage, 1 versus 2, 1 HP. Has to fall back, opening up some new lines of sight for himself. There's still 1:30 left on the clock here, Chaka. There's drones in pocket. This should be in the bag for CLB.
He also has 2 smoke grenades this KARN, but there's 1:20 left on the clock. Unless he can get in a good position to set off these Goyo canisters and further waste time for CLB or even isolate these gunfights, this round is done for KARN and Co.
He has a shield, he can try and work onto it, but these are going to have to force him back. He goes looking for an angle, try and find one isolated pick to pull back the numbers. Okay, that is mental. That's a lovely shot peeking around the corner. I'm like, it's all misaligned, it doesn't matter. The micro flick onto the head takes him down. Might have been a shoulder exposed on the door frame. A nice attempt there by Carnage just to try and find something, right? You got to do it. But the Grimbees coming through, the drones having scanned all the site, there's so few spots that KARN and Co are left to be able to sit in there, right? It's all been checked by CLB.
I just don't understand as well from KARN and Co. Why are we so aggressive over by the admin site when we have utility for the site itself? They have Goyos, they have smokes, they also had nitros too. You still have the shield up in the vending call. CLB lost way too many players by that point to have any utility to deal with that vending call machine. Plus, they didn't have enough players to go for like a spiral push as well to contest long disc, for example, to like flank the soda machine player. So really, KARN and Co just kind of overcommitted to that whole hold over by admin side, and they gave up way too many isolated aggressive picks for CLB to be successful, in which they were. Also,
like, again, Rice just going big in that round.
It's crazy.
Doing crazy things on the admin side. Again, all just peeking in that 4th kill as well, where he shoots Deity and then just kind of looks up and pre-fires. There's a guy just standing right there. So, okay, fair play, man. Remind me to not get into the same games as you, because I would get smoked. Deity, he's picked up the Goyo this time, but that does mean with an ACOG, you are obliged to look outside windows and try and get spawn kills. Nothing done so far this round. No damage. And now the attack, making a foothold inside the building. It's not the top floor. They're attacking down below it, but you still want to start this sweep up above anyway.
Still using the Monty in the 4th round as well to get info over by the lobby side. Doesn't even seem like they want to commit to a top floor clear, but rather just go lobby side, use the ace to open up the expo wall. But you are going to face opposition from Zach, playing all the way on by bottom spiral. Now that he vacates, that space could be free for the taking for CLB, as they are not really contesting the 2nd floor. That's my only worry because of these vertical angles on the site.
Sometimes you'd see a Capitao as well to try and smoke them off from above with the bolt sticking. Hat does get the pick onto Zach. Now transitioning up towards Spiral, well aware of the presence being held from above as they're looking down the holes, want to try and challenge. They're stepping away at the last second. The breach mostly opened, but it'd be interesting to see what that Selma was. It was the 2nd charge. I don't think it was the only one being placed down there, so should still have some access at the very least. Can use the line of sight being drawn from it. Want to draw off a line down the middle of sight. Waiting to activate it. The view being thrown into the mist just to try and limit that movement, especially if a shield comes through, but gets in, gets down for the plant, and the cover from below, watching into the rotate in sight to cut them off. Ace spotted in lobby, but the bullets bounce between the bars. Plant confirmed, and, well, it's Foresight left in a 1 versus 5 once again. The execute on the site just too clean from Certified Lover Boys as they're looking to put themselves up to 3 rounds, caught in a crossfire, 1 on the left, 1 on the long angle, looking through the middle of the site. Everything comes crashing down very quickly for KARN and Co.
Yeah, I said I was kind of afraid of them not really contesting the vertical just because obviously exposition plays itself well into the vertical. If you are not contesting it as the attackers and you try and go for that wall plant, you can get easily countered by that. But what they did instead was they just planted beneath the surface that wasn't at all penetrable for KARN and Co on that vertical. And
it worked it into the corner.
More importantly, they used the sand gadgetry because of the way that the vertical is set up on this map and the way that the bars are facing. Even where center was planting, if they did not use that sand wall, you could still see him planting and you could be able to counter him from that. But because the sand wall was set up in a way that it blocked the vertical angles, KARN and Co couldn't really see anything. They also really had no denial at that point. Their Nitro Cell players are dead, and they really have no opposition over by the hallway because CLB are already there covering it and killing them as they try to retake space to reclaim slight. So that was a really nice execute from CLB, very smartly executed from them.
And it's also leaning into the changes, right? Of course, traditionally or historically, Sens, you could see through it with the Warden, but that isn't doable anymore. So it's this great understanding that it's going to be a Warden above looking down. I really like to see that intuition, but after a couple attempts at trying to find something early on, KARN and Co, finally it pays off for them, with Vic Bands able to net an opening pick, taking down Azon on the Twitch. Not a bad find. No, there's the Goyo canisters are probably the thing that you're really highlighting. Pretty valuable if you can get them off the table early on. Again, you've got Rice picking up the Amaru, so the potential to try and get aggressive on the windows. It's still got the Ying, still got the Blackbeard as well, who looks like they're positioning for a drop on yellow.
Yeah, and it seems like they want to still do the office plant, but with a bit of a different caveat. Instead of having the Ying Candelas over by the meeting window, what they've done instead, and I like the way that they kind of did it this time. They don't sacrifice Rice's health. They just put him up onto the roof as if they're faking a rappel in, and he's just on the roof, and they're wasting utility here for KARN and Co. But the thing is that like you have 1:45 left, so how else are we gonna like work around this? And it looks like they're just gonna commit to the vertical.
Yeah, and Deity trying to hold on tight in the corner, but the nade coming through as well as the shotgun. If it doesn't reveal him, the nade will either do the damage. In this case, he got the injure. They confirm it off afterwards. Really nicely done once again by CLB. They're doing a lot of setup, making this push work through as the second Candela eats up the second Toxic Babe Checker. They're buying out the utility.
He did it again. He just rappelled up to the roof and he denied it. And they're also putting somebody down below just in case somebody wanted to go for a vert Nitro Cell, which KARN and Co do have in the hand of Vic Bands. A kill though is grabbed from KARN and they kill the top yellow player. That's the Blackbeard that was supposed to be here post the plant. And CLB have gotten a frag back. That's Hat finding one and Zach is down on yellow.
Oh, Toxic Babe being deployed. It's actually met with an Amaru this time. Drops out quickly to not take too much, but Hat, he jumped in bathroom instead. Everyone's looking one way, he walks in from behind. Hey, last time he swung into the connector window, got a double. This time, it's the other side. He's just taken down Zach anyway, the castle who just felled the Blackbeard trying to buy some time. And I'm starting to feel a little silly, Chaka. Because way back when, almost 5 rounds ago, I said it'd be so silly to pick starting out on the attack, wouldn't it? This makes complete sense for KARN and Co. It's so much easier to start on that defensive side and you pick up those buffer rounds. Yeah, well, that's aged well.
They just haven't had a chance. Like, it feels like CLB are moving way too quickly for KARN and Co to react. Yeah. And every time KARN and Co are able to react correctly, it seems like CLB just have a way of working around the utility so that KARN and Co are wasting it super early in the case of the smoke grenades because he used it like right at 1:45 when nobody was jumping in the window, and that's not necessarily his fault. He's hearing the Ying Candelas come in. They have trauma from the very first round when the Ying Candelas came in, plus the Maru second. Like, they don't know if they're going to commit to a plant or not because the last time that CLB went for that same office plant, Hat committed to the plant even while in the middle of smoke grenades and having most of his health depleted. And the thing is I felt like at least in that round, KARN and Co kind of like did the right thing apart from not really having anybody watch the bathroom window. They like killed the top yellow player and they were getting aggressive enough onto Hat as he was trying to commit to a plant but they never really had anybody in the later stages of that round watching for any bathroom window jump in, which is why Hat got that 3K at the end.
Back down to the basement. This is the site that KARN & Co won out on before. So, there's some hope for them in that. The lineup looking quite different, though, coming in from CLB. And last time it was built a lot off this hard breach utility, right? They had the Ace, the Hibana, and they had an EMP and hard breach child striker. The Monty trying to be that sort of focus point of the attack coming in from server. A lot of changes this time. They've added back the Ying, which has proved very, very successful for the Certified Lover Boys so far this half. Asian, though, going to pick up the Deimos, a first appearance on the map for the Operator. Obviously expecting this roam game coming through once again. And hey, look, there's Deity upstairs.
There's Deity upstairs. And thing is that they don't have a Doki Beast, so again, the roam clear is left a little bit weaker. And I don't really know how many people they've seen on drone, so I wonder how effective the Deimos is going to be in clearing the map. But wait, Hat's just already in? And he gets one onto Deity and finds a second. That's both of the roamers clear, and KARN & Co have no choice but to forfeit the rest of his top floor because nobody's in a near enough position to refrag.
How did he even get in the building? I'm genuinely not sure where he's walked in from. Is he just like connect a window?
From wedding.
Has he opened the single? He must have opened the single external breach with a just buck shotgunned in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He's just buck shotgunned in, helped himself to it. That's unfortunate. KARN & Co now have to find a way to dig themselves out from the 3 versus 5. You still got Zach, and I like this though, right? Recognizing that they need to get picks back, holding this aggressive stance. You got Foresight joining at the top of Spiral stairs as well, trying to shoot out the drones and keep him as undetected as possible, enable him to go for this flank, and now wants to creep up onto the top floor. Has to be careful. We can see the silhouette on your right. They're so focused on Spiral, but able to work his way in towards meeting, continuing to roll around, but it's left his teammates all the more vulnerable because of it. Spots one on the hatch above. Hat dipping down into sight, gets the confirmation, but the second lands down, injured out by Carnage, caught on the top above. So it's all down to the Bandit, meets the Vendetta in the hands of Asian, and can't get anything else done. The first half is a wash, and it's all in the favor of the Certified Lover Boys, who checker, this is consular attack. You're not supposed to get 5 rounds.
It's just like a story of KARN Co not being able to hang in those defensive rounds. Like, I feel like for their defenses, there was just like way too many gaps that players on CLB could just exploit and have big rounds because of those gaps. Like, here in the meeting, there's somebody in the office. He just sneaks. I don't know how you sneak in with the buck, by the way. By bucking open
Like,
the wedding wall.
It's so loud. It's like
it's
you
really
should hear the
loud,
wood going and be like, oh, there is one spot where someone might be opening wood this early on. It's literally the only spot, Shaka. Like, maybe you're like, he's top yellow. He's like opening the single panel on yellow. But that's on the other side of the map.
Yeah,
it's literally so far away.
It's crazy.
You're standing on long.
It's crazy because it feels like individual players could just exploit like really small gaps, and they had somebody in offices, so again you can hear that. Either way, CLB have a 5-1 half going into their defenses. They clearly have the advantage just because of how defender-sided Consulate is and how poor of an attacking team KARN & Co can be.
Is this guys, don't worry, it's not even our map pick, we win in 3. Copium kind of moment. I think that could be appropriate for this sort of vibe. Look, let's send it on attack, see what we can get done. They haven't got a hard reach, which I don't think you really need for this site. And they're not playing for Amaru either, so I think it's going to be a lot more important for them to try and get in across multiple aspects of this top floor, maybe play around for Spiral as well. Something that I always like to see, but again, there's so much built up over by admin, and they're just going to try and brute force it.
Like you said, there's a lot of utility here. I think, nope, nobody did repel in, but they have a nitro cell prep for the admin window that doesn't do any damage to Deity. And yeah, there's just a lot here for KARN & Co to clear, and even though they have utility, I don't know if they'll be able to clear it.
Hat with the first, looking for a second, but Big Dad doesn't even realize that they've swung him behind as he claims a quick double. Completely caught off guard. That's the suppressor value coming in clutch to keep KARN & Co alive. Still, Asian holding on tight just outside in the corridor, but wants to not give it up too soon. Will eventually drop off. They still got Kibas, 3 in pocket to deploy as well, as one immediately goes down to help contest onto that kitchen cafeteria doorway.
And with that double kill, you at least get admin control here from KARN. But how will you progress from here? Because unless they rotate somebody over by Spiral, this attack won't really be able to progress. So they clear the meeting room player on the doorway, but you still have the long desk player that can like really shut down this whole push with these Kiba barriers.
Can throw a second one down if they need to. Of course, they are more vulnerable early on, so maybe you don't want to do that when there's a DMR staring it down. A flank coming through for Rice, though. We saw this not work for KARN & Co last round, right? They send one on a flank, they just push site hard, and you get caught off guard. Still waiting patiently as the swing comes through. Asian takes down Vic Bands, who has been the big player so far in the round for KARN & Co. As the plant tries to go down, a Toxic Babe being thrown out to meet it. 30 seconds left on the clock. It becomes a little bit of crunch time. We have Rice now picking up through Spiral, but they're watching, waiting for him. Foresight with a pick, shotting off the angle from deep into meeting. Another Toxic Babe to try and dissuade a plant. Working down onto long desk, has access to peek down into the corridor for 2, but Carnage in the right place at the right time to keep the hopes and dreams alive. Now on the long table, sneaking through for a flank into the corridor behind, catches 1, but once again, it's the team-named player coming in big. Carnage doing all the work at the end of that round to make sure nothing slips through their fingers.
And I, again, was talking about how KARN could have easily lost that round just because even though they had admin control and they had the min advantage, they didn't really have any long desk control, and it was just a really nice setup from CLB using the zombie barriers in order to really hold off the rest. Trying to do, since it really had everything to do at the end, but although he gets one, he's not able to grab a second because KARN & Co are right on his heels. So yeah, really well executed in a round, even though KARN & Co started that round off really roughly with them losing the very first opening pick to Hat, but they were able to recover it in the end, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, hey look, you can't complain if you get to put some rounds on the board. Again, I think for CLB, it's another instance of, hey guys, we kind of let someone just walk into a spot that we definitely shouldn't have let them walk into, and we gave up a double kill because of it. Sort of fun seeing both teams on the receiving end of that experience, you know, making sure that it's all fair and even for everyone, as things should be. Now, round number 8, second attack for KARN & Co. Now they're bringing the shield. They've got the Monty on the table as well. It is this downstairs, but still beginning up above, Checker. You got to do the work to clear out the room, and that makes a lot of sense when you can see already the barricades being put down, just to try and delay the entry.
Yeah, you have a player up here as well, and he's completely hurt. Obviously, he's going to hear that because it's like right next to him, and he knows it's going to be on the meeting wall. And with the drone being put in from Wedding, he knows for sure that someone is just outside of it. So Zach is going to walk in. It doesn't really seem like Nick wants to take this aggressive gunfight.
And I can respect that. Wanting to just stay alive a little bit longer. The Grismont spotted out on the top of Spiral. And again, you've done your job as the Roamers here. You're a minute in. You've bought up that time. You drop away. The attack have nothing really to show for it.
And yeah, KARN don't have an opening pick. You still have somebody hanging around the yellow stairs too. Eventually, Nick is going to fall off, but KARN might just get this vertical control that they really, really want, and that's going to be crucial for a site execute.
The one tucked inside of Tellers for the time being, creeping around at the bottom of the admin stairs too. So the castle coming through the rotate, dips back downstairs to the basement. This is almost what KARN & Co wanted to do themselves in the last round, and out of nowhere, a little bit of tricky flanking coming through. We're down to 2 members alive for KARN & Co. One is the shield, the other is the ace. Hard breach charges being used to try and open up some of these walls. You can see Hat just lurking behind enemy lines, waiting to activate himself. Again, you're facing down a shield. You catch him looking in the back. Well, that's the ace. Things looking pretty miserable for Carnage here as he'll be detected with the FNAT going off. Spots one, going for the ADS to try and finish off the kill, but only done enough to get him to half HP. Suddenly finds himself in the middle of 3 and a nitro cell below to close out the round. Unfortunate when you're in that situation. I don't really know how you're supposed to buy your way out.
Yeah, it's really tough as a Mati when all of your teammates just die around you. And the reasonings as to why that happened, KARN, by the end of that round, even when all the kills were going in favor of CLB, only really had 3 drones that were active around the map. And only one of them was in a spot where somebody could flank up. And that was when that was around a position that the Elo was trying to flank up Yellow Stairs. They didn't really have any drones over by Visa from what I noticed. So that allowed Asian to be very successful in finding one on the admin stairs, and then finding a second because the Habana was looking the completely wrong way. So pretty easy closeout for CLB, capitalizing on the misinformation or lack thereof for KARN. And now it's match point on CLB's map pick.
Not a bad place to go as well to try and close it outright. Normally the go-to site, that kind of in tandem with basement, I guess. I feel like we see more of the top floor, but you also do get cheese from time to time by Amaru. Pretty miserable stuff, but it happens to the best of us, you know. I can't fault anyone for getting caught off by someone throwing their life away through a window at 100 miles per hour. Again, the shield. It's been kind of precarious tool so far this series, right? I don't think we've really seen good use out of it. Not that no these teams have competent shield players in terms of like it's been pretty well responded to by defensive teams to just keep them out. The teammates around it have been found by flanks. You kind of get left in 1v3s, 1v4s.
Yeah,
pretty terrible situation.
Yeah, the only time we've seen a shield be effective was when Center had that like really good plant over by Expo and Piano. So that was really the only time we've seen it used to like complete a plant or complete an execute for KARN and get like really for CLB and get like really important space. As for KARN, it hasn't been used not well, but also like what you would use a Monty for, it hasn't been able to be used that way.
Oh, Nitro flying over the top. Second time that they've been able to bait that out with some quick drops on the rappel. Still watching on the long angles, trying to get the cover going in. No one caught by Vic Bands jumping into Printer this time around. Still got the Kiva and going to keep it up to drone it out. Some relative protection. Interesting to see the single wall left soft. Getting ready for a run out perhaps to try and challenge onto the externals. That's pretty spicy tech.
Yep, but nobody's out here. KARN are completely inside of the map on the admin side, and you also have somebody to account for a spiral tick. So this is pretty typical of what you see from the defense, and they're also clearing the utility, the Goyo, on the door so they can walk right on in. But again, the really scary part is this admin control with the keeper barriers, because you can just get shot out from the footholds.
In a much better position this time to try and hold on with extra bodies alive, and so far these keepers not being taken down. Drops off of the defenses in response to Zach getting aggressive on the top of Spiral. Becomes a lot harder when you could be shot in the side. Still got the Goyo, one thing to contest early. Again, all of these Vulcans dropped off. You still got Center though with 3 Toxic Babes ready to throw them out, and there's only 50 seconds left. But Rice, the first to fall. Zach still being this presence, afraid of a potential flank coming through. There's no one challenging you from underneath the stairs. The Monty now so much confidence with long desk control to peek on in towards meeting and force hat off. Asian caught out from behind by Deity, and with 30 seconds left, the Toxic Babes, they're flying out to deny a plant, deny entry in from the door. The Center gets aggressive now on long desk, needing to retake the space, but the Ash once again, right place, right time, as hat falls to Nick. Joins him so shortly behind as Foresight gets aggressive in the middle of the smoke to push the game another round on. KARN finding their flow here on the attacking side. This is just a topsy-turvy consulate.
Yeah, nobody from CLB is expecting the yellow push that came in from the Ash at the tail end of that round. I believe they came in from Foresight, it was for the side of KARN. And nobody really expected it. Like, yeah, you knew somebody was going to push up Spiral. That's usually very typical. You also know it's an admin-heavy push just because of the way, just because of the sound keys that was given to you earlier by them rappelling up and also sending drones in. So they knew exactly where that push was coming from. But when it came to, like, any exterior pushes or anybody pushing anywhere else, it really seemed like CLB had that set information. Otherwise, nobody pushes in from yellow, nobody's caught off guard from CLB that round, we would have been moving on to Cafe just because of the amount of delay utility that CLB still had with the limited amount of time left that KARN & Co possessed. Like 55 or 45 seconds with 3 smoke canisters, and they still had long desk control by that point. So there's a lot riding in that game for riding in that round for CLB that was all thwarted because somebody pushed on the backside of them and nobody knew.
But again, this game has been so dangerous when it comes to these flanks, right? We've seen multiple times a defender sneaks through, catches all of these picks, but attacks have consistently responded so well to it. And this time, it's not about pushing faster and leaving them well behind you where they can't really do anything. It's catching them off to give yourself that extra time and space to push slowly onto the site players. It's great to see teams be able to adapt differently depending on the situation and what they recognize in the moment they need the most. Great to see the flank watch coming through as well, because it's part of the game, Chaka, that so often goes unappreciated or teams just kind of forget to do.
Yeah, and most of the flanks that have been happening on the attack side that's been catching the defense off guard to get crucial space has been like really good on the timings from the attack. Yeah. Like that happening when you know where the push is coming from mainly, and it happens in like the last 45 seconds, of course you're not going to expect it because nobody was droning on that side of the map in the beginning, nor were you like being pressured there initially. So yeah, of course CLB aren't going to expect it. Seems like in this round though, KARN & Co are going to do a top floor clear, yellow and admin split take.
I like this as well. Again, it's another way to try and catch the defense in the middle. Seeing what happens if you don't respect the above clear. Clearing out the frost mat to give some extra flexibility, but seeing the Nitro Cell being held in the hand of the Warden wants to back away just a little bit. Respect the space for the time being. We're halfway through the round and yet to find a pick, but that's okay for pacing because we're continuously peeling CLB back upstairs bit by bit.
Yeah, and it seems like they're just kind of like putting them in positions where they expose them. So if Rice was immediately exposed to bathroom window and he gets the first pick, but he's immediately traded back. KARN & Co, they've gotten some kills, but it looks like they might be even getting the rest of this top floor. So mission successful for KARN & Co.
Wants to drop back to yellow stairs. Zach taking a little bit of damage, but falls away and knows he can hold at the bottom, and they have to be bottlenecks running into him. His teammates have started to fall above, though, and they just charged headfirst down, finally in position to catch Rice as they fall. Dear team, walking down spiral staircase now, a 2 versus 3, still completely winnable with 40 seconds left on the clock as both of these attackers now wrapping around again. The defense caught in the middle of both halves of the attack, but this time a little less punch behind it with only 2 alive. Hat still looking to challenge, but Nick with a shotgun on the close corner. It's so hard to fight your way up yellow in those situations, and Hat holds on, consistently peaking for that final frag. He pushes CLB over the line. They take map 1. It's their map pick, so there's that hope still for KARN & Co. But a 7-3 victory here at the start, a 5-1 attacking half, Chaka. That is a statement coming out at the start of this series.
It's a pretty dominant win on Consulate, all things considered. Had a couple of tricky defensive rounds, did CLB, but they were able to pull it out in the end. I lied on that last round, by the way. That was not a mission success on getting the top floor clear because you still had players possessing control around office, small office, and bathroom. And so it didn't really seem like while they were forcing a lot of movements and CLB players to like kind of like be putting themselves into like good cutoff positions for KARN & Co to capitalize on, it didn't really seem that way. From what I noticed, they didn't really even have anybody on like bathroom window, which is kind of like very typical if you're looking to take control of that office side, just in case somebody rotates, because you can see anything from window. You can see office, you can see secretary, you can obviously see the bathroom players. They really had nobody there. It was just yellow and admin, and the admin players couldn't really get enough control post meeting to really cut those rumor off where they stood around offices.
No, it's unfortunate, right? I mean, I think CLB just coming in on that attacking half, they had the game plan. I think that's the biggest thing, right? You said it during the game. It was all about the pacing in which they played, and KARN & Co really struggled to keep up with that and consistently respond to just how rapidly they were pushing forward into their ranks. Ultimately, that is map number 1. But we still have 1 more, potentially 2 more. KARN & Co, they've picked us to go to Cafe, but there'll be a short break before we get to map 2 action. So grab yourself a quick snack, maybe a drink. and be right back before we head in to Cafe Dostoevsky. We are back as we catch the highlights from our last map of action. Certified Lover Boys find themselves one map up in the last round of the groups for both of these teams, KARN and Co. A little bit of a stumble at the start, but it's Cafe Dostoyevsky up next. It is their map pick. This is the time to mark their comeback. I'm Golimolu. I'm joined by my ever wonderful Chaka, and we are very ready for some Cafe excitement. I mean, look, I think after a enclosed corridor-based consulate, a closed-in corridor-based cafe sounds quite lovely. You know, these teams get to follow on from the vibe that they've already been playing under. Maybe that helps CLB. Maybe because KARN and Co feel a little bit more comfortable on cafe, we get to see some back and forth action, a chance for a comeback.
We'll see about that, because like I know for Certified Lover Boys, cafe is not a favorite map for them. They don't really pick into it, and I think during this season, even before as Jinxie's Loyals, now Certified Lover Boys, cafe was a map that they banned a lot alongside Skyscraper, which has made itself as CLB's permaban this season. So I don't really know how successful they'll be at cafe. I know for KARN and Co, they don't mind playing cafe. In fact, they've played it once, or actually 2 times. Once in the closed qualifiers, #1, as well as once this season. Both times they've won it, with the game that they had this season being up against the Unks was a bit closer. They won that 8-6, whereas I think it was F5 Esport in qualifier #1 that they played this map on too, and that was a 7-2 win for KARN and Co. So they have some really good history on this map as of recently. For CLB, not really anything, because they don't play this map, so it's going to be a really interesting watch.
Yeah, I have kind of mixed feelings on cafe, but it will be interesting to see how the windows get used a little bit more actively. I mean, we're pretty close now to CGS arriving with us, and I think that will change the outside sort of sculpture of cafe a bit as well, as you can start running around these corners. I believe you can go all the way around the building on cafe.
Yes, and
if I'm not mistaken.
And the jump out changes too. So if you don't know, in CGS, if you haven't been watching Reload, for example, or if you don't have like access to the CGS beta, when you run out of a window, when you run out of a window and you try and do it ADS, it un-ADSs you. So
it's on like any drop.
Mm-hmm.
Any drop higher than a volt.
Yes.
You can't like hatch drop ADS anymore. It's kind of sad.
I think it's just like Windows. That's the only thing I saw.
You can currently do like a weird sprint glitch.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you stand on a table like next to a hatch and sprint off the table down through the hatch, you can ADS, and it like for some reason thinks you're not falling, and you can like full ADS and like do nonsense. That's pretty funny. And it's like momentum stuff now with like the movement, right? So you can do fun little momentum-y things to try and like fling yourself through hatches, which is very hilarious to watch people try and mess around with. I'm looking forward to the full release coming through. I just like I haven't test servered yet, Chaka. I haven't been on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just like I have like slow download rate, like speed. So it's like downloading the test server takes me like 5 or 6 hours. I'm just like, ugh, I'll just wait for my 4-hour season update and do it then. You know, like going through that twice is just long.
I just get annoyed on the beta server easily. I'll be honest. Whenever I've played it, I don't know. I always get smoked on a test.
So what you're saying is that it's a skill issue.
It is a skill issue. It is.
It's the test server gamers. The hardcore test server gamers are too good.
Yes, only the best play the test server. I always get smoked because I indulge myself, and I think, maybe I'll play the test server and try new things. People don't let you try new things. Like, even on the test server, people don't even play like the new operator sometimes. They just go there to sweat.
Yeah.
So bad.
They insta-lock their Ashe and start running around. Boss G
like,
Vigil comes out again.
Ashe doesn't even have any changes. Like, what? Like, I'm just like, I get so confused.
It's just passion, Tracker. You don't understand. They gotta limit test their R4C ACOG against the new Spice. It's let you pick the new operator and I'll kill you on it. That's the game plan. The new Clash has come through as well. I'm excited for the new Clash.
Are you?
I'm a Clash enjoyer. I mean, it looks a little scary. I'm excited to try it out. I'm not really excited to be on the receiving end of it. It's so funny. I saw one of him on Twitter earlier where he was like tricking a Gon 6. Hilarious content. He's like stood in the back corner outside dirt on Clubhouse, and he's just picking up and placing down his shield whenever an Ayana like steps up with a Gon 6. Looks absurd. But we're not playing against a Clash or watching a Clash, and we're not on Clubhouse. We're on Cafe. And Hat looking very early on to just stare up through this hatch and try and find himself an opening pick. A Yokai flying through to try and relay some information, but Red Ping's out as well. A little too far to toss a Nitro.
Nobody's really around the vicinity of that hatch. At the moment, it just seems like Karnico wants to clear off these castle barricades that exist on the windows. Yellow was just popped, and now the cocktail bar is going to be popped too. So they at least have some Windows presence here.
Rice with the first. Immediately walks up and Deity lurking on the ticket window. Quickly shuts that down. You've still got the keepers established if someone else can work their way in, but a quick swing up above into sight. And Zach's been taken off very, very promptly. Deity now off the repel, dropping into red instead. Taking some shots in towards the cabinet. A Nitro cell flying over the top, but detonated late, just after he skirts the safety. Drones coming through to try and identify any other ops over under the new hatch. Spots out Hat on this mute for the rotation, but it's not good enough. Lands the spray to take down the third. Carnage, Vic Bands both working their way through Piano, looking through the long head heights, peeking all the way into the deepest parts of sight. A lovely little pre-fire onto Asian, who stood no chance in that engagement. Still have Hat lurking around inside a cigar shop. Castle barricade separating him from the attackers for the time being. Plenty of peek holes for him to peek away at if he wanted to. Slowly the castle barricade opens up. He'll fall back into sight.
And really, again, the only ground that Karnico are able to gain is by Cigar Lounge and Piano. And that's really about it. You still have a bunch of info working in your favor for CLB. No Nitro to really deny the plan, but I'm pretty sure they'll close this round out easily.
Oh, come on. Peek it out. McBands has to give up the angle that he was holding. Going deeper down to the top of white instead. He's found a massive opening. If he can continue to walk forwards, but as the sprays come through, they know his position. Flashbang comes through, but Carnage takes down Hat, who's aggressively stanced on the long desk. One still tucked in the back of Freezer. Could be massive, but Carnage with 8 seconds on the clock finds Nyx looking for the second. He's in the back of sight. The sprays come through for each other. He has to sprint and walk up forwards, and they trade. Chaka, they both hit the floor, but CLB are defenders, and they win it out.
Yeah, luckily Sensor was able to get Vic Bands on top on stacks before, like, you know, before they 2v1'd him. So at least CLB, because they had the numbers advantage anyways, had the advantage in that round with trades. And they could at least ensure that by the end of that round, even if they gave up some isolated picks, which they did against Karnico, that in the end, it would still end up, like, really close, like a 1v1, and they could still have a chance to win it out anyways. And they did, but, like, literally just by the skin of their teeth. Because, like you said, it was just a 1-1 trade. I don't really understand how, like, Karnico were able to work the picks so easily, just considering the amount of util. Yeah, like, considering the amount of util they still had up in Piano. I think what really started that was the kill in Bathroom that allowed Vic to just walk in and take a bunch of space up white, with nobody by stacks to really contest that aggressively for CLB. So very close for Karnico to win it. CLB, I'm pretty sure, are happy enough that they won the round, I would hope. They just got blessed.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, from a 2 versus 4 as well, that's the other thing that we didn't really highlight from this one. I think that needed to be appreciated is, like, just consistently from Karnico working away to find the frags, to line it up. 3K for Carnage in that round as well, who's consistently been stepping up in really important moments throughout this series. Even if the scoreboard doesn't necessarily always reflect that. Down to, I always want to say the basement. It's technically not a basement. It's a ground floor, identified as a first floor because we can't do floors properly, but it's okay. I won't fight that fight here. I don't think many people will agree. Ram immediately flying through to the second floor. Trying to open up as much of this verticality with the boogie, but immediately met with that impact checker.
Yeah, like, That's a boogie drone gone, but at least you have insurance that, you know, you have a buck on the board, plus you still have 2 more boogie drones. Asian only has 1 impact left, so even if he gets the second one, he won't really be able to deny the last one. And there is no roam on the top floor here from CLB, so you get this vertical control for free if you're KARN. They don't quite know it yet, so it's going to take them a little bit of time to figure out that the second floor is completely free for them to take. And they could just set up vertical to really deny key rotations here for CLB.
NitroCell in hand. Really wants to try and land a kill with it. I mean, it could be committed just to a boogie drone. Just try and get it off the table early, but floor being ripped open by Vic. I think this is the intended or ideal target for the explosive to find. Still, more and more of this floor gets worked away, but thankfully for CLB, they've got a lot of off-site presence in hard-to-find spots and foresight. That's not quite ideal. Rice continues to add to the misery with a well-placed NitroCell, a grenade bouncing back, but still able to escape into prep.
Yeah, even though they got this vertical control, like, you've just lost way too many bodies at this point. Most importantly, I don't even know, I'm pretty sure that if they had the, yeah, they had the Habana in here, so they open up the freezer hatch, but you really don't have the manpower to go for a back hit here, because this requires you to take a lot of really nasty gunfights. But I think they're still going to do it. It's more possible than a bakery push, which, again, requires you to take a lot more gunfights, and it's very difficult to do so when you really haven't cleared the amount of utility that exists there for CLB.
Still lurking down in garage as well. Identified. Great job by Foresight to catch him off. Opens up the drop opportunity for Carnage on the Monty as they work back from the 3 versus 5 scenario. Picking up the ROI to try and slide and hide from the long angles. Forces Rice into a tight corner. Fire going off to try and isolate Carnage from his team, but Foresight still watching ever vigilantly over his comrade. Down to the 2 versus 3 as they trade off picks with the side support going down. But a Volt over the top takes off the shield. They commit to starting the diffuser. Can you get above on the angle in time? No, you can't. Not ready at all for that to come through. And in his defense, it is a very long route you have to run. But saw it as his best chance to play out a 1v3 in that post plant. Unfortunate situation to find yourself in. But CLB, they capitalize yet again on that deep commit to try and get a plant.
And KARN did a very good job of battling it back down after the early team kill and then the follow-up NitroCell that really looked like it could have killed the round for CLB, because then with the limited amount of manpower that they have, it makes it harder to then go for a white push, because usually what you see with white pushes, you have somebody on a big window for the Christmas player, even the whiskey bar players. You can't like use utility over the top of the wall. But what they did instead, KARN was just throw down a Sins gadget to kind of block off that line of sight so they could proceed down white easily and drop down the freezer hatch too, which they were able to do and almost could have gotten a plant down if they didn't lose the cover over by freezer when CLB were doing that 3-man take and they maybe got a frag back. That could have been really, really possible for KARN. Unluckily for them though, certainly not the case, and it's a 2-0 lead for CLB.
And again, really, like, it's so difficult as well, because you do a great job to even get in that spot, right? 3 versus 5. You work the pick, find the Legion, hiding in garage. Again, really good attempt from CLB, and I like to see teams that are willing to play off-site. You have all this verticality being opened up. Let's sit where they can't open and try and catch them off guard. Really well read into by KARN, even if they couldn't push it over the finishing line. Now, though, it's up to this middle floor, and immediately committing the Rotero drone. I think that's going to explode. I don't think it was detonated in time before it was caught by the pest.
No. And again,
that one went.
Yeah. They only send in a 1 person here, so they have support as well. At least the Ash does over by the piano windows. And he repels into pianos too, so at least they'll have the door open. They won't be completely separated from each other, but they are focusing on getting this top floor control. Damage done to Deity, but ultimately no kill had.
Well, Hat finds 1. Still challenging in, and Asian adds to the scoreboard. Such a difficult spot to try and fight through, and again, you add that rotation, you have the head heights lined up next to you, wants to look down the vert, knows it's there, and of course, the moment he peeks back up to the players inside of storage, that's when the TCSG strikes hardest. Carnage in long desk. Let's shoot out the B launcher just to try and gather that information, but overexposes his head over the top of the counter and gets swiftly taken off by Hat, who gets a double in the round before finally being shut down. Center underneath, peppering that damage into the leg of Foresight. Steps up, still wants to challenge onto this angle, knows his good chance as he's going to get of finding a pick and makes it count. 2 so far, 3 more to find. It'll be an ace clutch to push it over. He's on such low HP. A lot of openings. Down deep in towards Freezer. Again, Asian keeps walking in and out and in and out, and it's 3. 1 versus 2. Information available. 50 seconds on the clock. This is winnable.
It is, and again, it's CLB. They're just like, I don't know why we feel the need to like peek, but we're giving away isolated picks to Foresight. And KARN, again, they have a chance in the clutch to get like a really decent, and they have this is like really clutchable too, like 1v2 clutch, yeah. 2 nitro cells left on the back pocket of CLB, and that's a really nice silent drop to block the sound of where he's coming from. But I think CLB already know it, and it's going to be confirmed by the BP.
Looks in towards the fireplace, just misses the foot of the mute. Knows the Mozzie will want to try and recontest. Still in sight of the bulletproof camera, tries to take a plant, does come off, knowing the footsteps are in the corner, but right through the fireplace, looking down with the SMG-11. He has his teammate for backup. They know they need to force the fight in a 1 versus 2. He backs up into the corner and gets caught on the long angle by the SMG-11.
I think the obvious point there we just talk about, like, again, CLB maybe giving up way too many isolated picks, but they keep making up for it with their staggering man advantage, and also just them having better map control and better positionings than KARN in that situation, because they are men down. They don't really get a lot of map control. But it feels like for KARN, like their initial entries into the map are just like well recognized from CLB, and there doesn't really seem to be a lot to their initial pushes. Like they're just taking very raw, dry gunfights that CLB are obviously going to be favored in, without really doing much of the work to force CLB to kind of like overexpose themselves or put CLB in bad spots to like to feel like they're very vulnerable in certain positions. Like they're kind of like not doing that whatsoever.
10 seconds left.
Again, it's this dominance in the first half of a game. CLB, they just get the better kick off the go. Always off to a fast start. KARN & Co, I want to see them change up. I don't want to see another pretty one-sided run at things.
Yes.
It's a little... Just had to see. Well, that's a lot of wood chips going flying in the sky. They should be aware if they kind of clocked onto what's going on. This is a nitro cell getting prepped. Again, the yokai bouncing up and down for that early information.
Doesn't really see anybody on the rappels or even like right on the roof, and it's not going to even attempt it again because that'll just get shot out this time, and they don't want to lose a pretty important part of their utility. Though KARN & Co, they do start the round off. That's the first kill into Rice, and that's very crucial because that's the Azami that usually plays in piano.
And center falls 2. Again, another window opening, another line of sight being used to the attacker's advantage. I mean, this is all a fantastic start for them. But it's how do they get in? It's always inside a piano that things start to go awry, and with Hat just walking up boldly under Red Hatch, wants to go for a peek onto your piano window too. No bullets. Landing on target. Center brought back to his feet. The Yokais will reactivate once more as he starts hunting for the next target. Probably Hat to try and find once again as flashbangs go through, but doesn't expect him behind. Carnage dropping into the waiting arms of the Mute. Do trade it off with Deity. Center immediately back. Doesn't need the HP benefit to take down Vic Bands. Aggressive push from Zofia, but again, spotted out by the overwhelming information utility. You trade out with a 20 HP target and leave Foresight once again all alone in a 1 versus 2 to clutch up a much more healthy situation for him. At 110, not 10. Finds the first, shot to the shoulder of the Mozzie, who backs away into storage, knowing once again they need to play for the crossfire. Comes close on his long bar door, knows he's stuck in the back of Freezer, but the castle's going to be an ever-present threat the moment you walk up forwards, instead looping around, trying to bait one out of position, clutching onto long desk, standing over the top, but Nick, gun ready, sights locked on the door frame, catches the ace as he walks just round the corner.
And like you mentioned, it just seems to be like the first initial step of getting into the building. They just can't quite do it, not safely, because like players are shining individually for CLB, and the reason why I feel like that is because it doesn't really seem like KARN and Co are operating on a lot of information. Like throughout that whole round, they never really had like information on where Hat was. They just kind of like knew he was in the vicinity of like cigar box or in cigar lounge, or he was by like under red hash. There's not really any confirmation on that. And so that's why you had that like misplay with the flash. Like obviously that's gonna look weird, but obviously he just doesn't have information on where Hat exactly is, and you can't like repel into piano because you have somebody in because you think you have somebody in bathroom there for CLB, which is very dangerous to like repel into piano if somebody is there in the bathroom for CLB. So exactly. It's just
they lose him.
Yeah, like it's not good enough for KARN and Co on these initial entries, even though they do well to like bring it close.
Could have just stopped at not good. I think that would have been pretty valid as well. Look, it's not mean if it's. I mean, it's a little mean if it's true, but like, even in from a 5 versus 3, you just like the moment you repel or drop down a hatch or come in a window, you just die. You just die, and it's a little tragic to see. Look, KARN and Co, come on, let's put some rounds on the board, boys. Let's get in and amongst it. Look, it's Defender side on Cafe. This is, again, we're looking for the angle. It's all about the art of the spin here, check it, right? Copium dealer. Always think, what's the success? Again, good backup here from CLB. They're eating up the clock, buying themselves that all-important time. They haven't got too much utility invested inside a piano. It's all just about shoot some drones, be a bit of a nuisance, fall away to safety. We're a minute in, and again, they're still playing on this piano rappel. Finally, we have Vic Bands running through the building, but as one goes in, another goes out. Zach off the flick. He's gone.
He's just like dropped down. Again, it's like the gunfights that we're taking are just like really bizarre, but also they just don't feel well prepped at all. I mean, this is going to be another one for Big Bands. He might be able to catch the player off guard here, but they know about his entry in Freezer, I'm sure of it.
Well, Hat has 2, looking for a third, but is bested by the R4C. A swing aggressively in towards the bathroom. Here's the vault, but Vic Bands keeps it going, keeps us contentious in this round. 3 versus 2, still certified lover boys coming off of that top floor roam. Hold, really. 1 minute 20 on the clock. You've gotten 3 kills, and you've given up 2 bodies. You committed Smoke Babes early to buy for that time, so it's not even like you lost a full utility on him either. I think ultimately you're in a pretty good spot here, especially with that hatch being reinforced. Makes it so much harder to commit. I mean, you can't get it open now. You've only got 1 Surma left. Waiting at the bottom of the staircase, shotgun close in tow. It's gonna be hard. How do you even go downstairs?
Yeah, I mean, CLB are just rotating out away of the vertical, so they're not catching anything, and they only have 1 breaching charge left. They're not committing to the vertical anymore. They're just gonna book it down red to see if they can, like, pull off a dining executor, even just find something to the vertical.
No!
Foresight just misses everything, and Asian finds him.
You can't lose that.
Oh my god.
Tucked inside of Green Train does go down. Vic Bands on for a triple. We've seen KARN and Co players for a second time now in a situation where they have to ace if they want their team to put the first on the board. Spotted out by the FNAT. Can't figure out exactly where it is, so just going to shoot a charge, try and cross over into dining. Gets through, but not completely safely. Blinded out, near-sighted, can't see. From center, peeks out from a punch hole to finish things off.
And this is not it. This is not it.
I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where you're like, we should really put them out of their misery. You know, it's like...
Yeah.
It's like when your pet's, like, very clearly very ill and, like, very old. And it's like, you're like, like, I don't want to... Like, we should treasure every day we have left. But at the same time, like, is the physical struggle of your beloved pet, like, worth the selfish 3 days that you get before they pass away kind of vibe?
This is just, like, really, really bad because, like, honestly, because Cafe is not, like, it's not a defender-sided map and it's not an attacker-sided map. It used to be a defender-sided map. And then as of
I'd be fine with a 4-2. A 4-2 I'd be fine with.
As of recently, though, it's been kind of like more 50-50, it feels, especially if you like play the third floor sites and even on second floor, because you have to commit to a third floor roam. Otherwise, you give the third floor up, then like you kind of like lose the round, depending on circumstances. But usually you do lose the round if you're playing like a second floor defense and you don't like hold. That's just it. Like, so this doesn't really speak to a lot of confidence to me. Like, even if they get like a 5-1 here, it's going to be really hard to come back from this on the defensive half.
Well, drones, they're starting on the top floor. They're at least doing all of the basics first, right? Making sure they do a full sweep, get all that information early on, try and clear out any roamers. Vic Vans goes down early on. As I talk about roamers, of course, Asian decides, I'm going to take a little gander up red stairs, see what's at the top. Oh, it's a freebie. Does take a little bit of damage, but I mean, you'll be fine with that. You get the logic bombs gone, no more hacking those cameras, and the boogie starts to come through and clear away as much of this soft floor as possible. Tried to shoot out, it's kind of a cheeky angle to try and find, but now have to be careful of that rotation because they are going to be watching you.
I think Asia just wants more because when they're taking like vert like this, obviously it doesn't really seem like KARN & Co with the way that they tailored this lineup that they're going for a bakery push. It seems like they want to go for a white stairs push, and I believe the reason why Asian is peeking the front door like that is because he expects somebody from KARN & Co to rotate to the big window to put pressure onto the VIP player. But at the moment they're just holding their ground. The vertical angle is not really finding anything, of course, because nobody usually sits on a site for the the kitchen service and cooking service site anyways. But honestly, like, what do you even do here if you're KARN?
Well, look at that prepping for a drop. You've still got the Legion in the back of VIP, but ROI is being thrown down. Smoke's trying to bounce deep as well. Get a nade in to try and buy out some utility. The flames, you'll have to wait for that to dissipate. But again, with the gadget not yet activated, those line of sight blockers will wait patiently before deploying themselves. Gonna throw them up now, but again, you still got the flames to contend with. You can't walk onto that default plant, and Warden standing aggressively as Asian. You said he was hunting for a second, does find it quickly shut down by the Sens. Barner in the back of garage, toying, baiting Nick to come forwards and engage with the rest of the round. Spots out the Monty of the feet holes, and Carnage has to be a little bit more cautious now as this engages, but finds one onto the Warden, standing in a toxic babe as it dissipates, gets onto the bomb chassis, and can start to put down a plant. Vertical control established, but it doesn't matter if the players downstairs, including your planter, die. 13 seconds for Foresight to run round to fight off a flawless half, and Nick, still sitting around by the Christmas tree, peeks out and finishes things off. Certified Lover Boys, they have themselves a flawless defensive half of Cafe. They are one round away, Chaka, from cementing themselves firmly in the first spot of this group. The round difference, the map difference, it's not going to matter after a demolish, just a massacre, really, from KARN & Co here.
You struggle so hard with
It's been rough.
It's been, like, really bad. And that was, like, kind of, like, the best chance that KARN & Co had to win round. The reason why Foresight was on the top 4 for that long and he wasn't with the rest of his team was because I think he expected Center to rotate like right in front of his vertical to get behind the whiskey bar so that he could throw the smoke grenades over the top. The issue with that is that you can already throw the smokes over the top if you're even by the double doors of kitchen. So doesn't really help there. They couldn't really even, like, again, it just didn't, like, they get the top 4 control. They do all of this to get into sight. They clear the only sight anchor that existed to really deny the Monty from walking in and getting into default. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't really have enough cover to deny any rotations, and the only person you have is a person watching the VIP player, so he can't watch the on-site from sight, and Foresight can't deny the smokes from above or kill the smoke as he's trying to like deny the plant. There's nothing.
Certified Lover Boys on a roll now, Chaka as well, right? I mean, the confidence has to be feeling good.
Yeah, Hat's 9-4 too. I think last series, Hat was like negative on both the second and the third map that kind of lost CLB there. second game in a row. So this time around, he's been a bit more consistent. First map, he was doing quite well, and in the second map, he's been doing well in getting the opening picks. So yes, CLB are playing with a lot of confidence, and KARN and Co just aren't playing with confidence. That's the issue.
It's interesting as well, right? Because we talked about this before. CLB, a team that were coming in, they were your favorites for the group, and Asian making it likely that they finish at the top of the group as they take down Carnage very early on into this round. The Legion found early, decently valuable pick as well. Those goo mines not able to generate over the rest of this round. Still have Foresight trying to set up a fortress with the Azami as more keepers are thrown in the direction of CLB. Still waiting patiently on this top floor. Again, hunting a pick back. And I like this from KARN & Co. They're playing with initiative. They want to try and take a gunfight. And they'd being bounced down and a good spray, but somehow able to land at the bottom. Tops of the shotgun, finally trades him off. But kills keep flying in favor of KARN & Co. as they did not put 3 back-to-back. Hat brings it level to a playing field. 2 versus 2, flanking around from Planks, takes down Big Fans. Hat looking to seal the deal already. Zach Killer downstairs. A 1 versus 2, KARN & Co. You've had 4 of these now. Let's put 1 to rest. Let's get a clutch going for you. You shouldn't have to do this all by yourself. But to keep your team's chances alive, look up through the verticality, get ready for the drop down below. You still got a barricade on the doorway that buys you some time. You've got a Vulcan if you really need the assistance. Afraid of potential flank from White Stairs 2. But it's still this IQ peeking through the verticals, and they don't quite know his location. They will have a much better indication now that the Vulcan's been popped. But again, the patience from CLB, they don't want to overextend any of their members. Wait for the fire to go away before you push in a little bit more aggressively. It's go time. On the doorway, stances aggressively, sets off a second Vulcan, and there's another there too. This is a locked out way. They have to rotate onto 90. There's feet holes looking down into dining. Find the 1 versus 1. He gets the first one to Hat and escapes. But there's feet holes all around. Has to drop away. 13 seconds. Center has the diffuser. He can go for the plant. He vaults out onto the corner, going for the rotate, setting in a flashbang, but close around the doors. That Killer finally puts 1 to bed. It's a clutch, a 1 versus 2, and he steps up when his team need it most. Staring down the barrel of a gun, and he says, "Not for me, not today." And we have a tech boss.
It's called from CLB, if that wasn't obvious by the in-game chat as well. And, like, the one thing that, like, Vic had working for him in that 1v2 was the fact that, like, CLB had, like, no information at all on where he was. Apart from him, like, maybe popping the Goyo canisters once or twice, They weren't totally convinced on where he exactly was. Hat seemed like he was ready for the gunfight over by 90, but that was a really nice headshot that was confirmed by Vic Bands. And on top of that, like, even then, the last player alive was just kind of like stuck in a corner. He can't like rotate through laundry, it seemed, because I think it only really had like the head holes prepped for KARN & Co. So that kind of made it tricky for the Dokkaebi to kind of like maybe go in and out, or even like maybe play like a circus game around Vic Bands. Overall, like, neither team in that 1v2 had like a clear advantage just because of the lack of information that existed on both sides. You just had to depend solely on game sense and sound.
Game crash. We are going to reestablish this, but what a time to have to take a step out, Jaka. We just had a clutch. The momentum's good for KARN & Co.
Finally.
And the system breaks down. The Matrix is fighting against them. They have to put 5 rounds back to back. But we're nearly ready, I think. 5 rounds back to back. Check it, that's a tall order. That's long. It's a lot to do. Can we see back to back flawless halves? Do you believe in miracles?
No. Unfortunately, okay. I don't.
Well, there we have it, folks. We're done this evening. It's all over. No. Check. Let's have a little bit more hope. Come on, where's the passion?
Because like, I mean, you also have to play like kitchen service and cooking is a pretty good site for the defense. Then you have to take into account like there's mining and dining as well. They'll be locked out of reading and dining for like 2 rounds. So even if they win this round, then they'll be locked out of this site too. then the only options that they have is mining, dining, or top 4. Teams usually pick the top 4 for mining and dining, and for a very good reason, because mining and dining is a very weak site to defend. Piano is almost always available to the attackers off rip just due to the window plays, and the mining site is just completely susceptible to rushes. Third floor is even worse just because there's way too many windows, but it's better to defend and more successful to defend for the defenders. So you still have a lot of things to think about if you're Karnico. Right now, just kind of like enjoy that you get to play kitchen in kitchen.
We're going for a spawn peek. Is this the vibe? Waiting by the window. It's not prepped. So it'll just be a little spray out. Maybe you hear a repel and try and go for something a little spicy. No. Calm at the start. Ram off. Gonna open up this window. And that's when you swing. Should be pretty entertaining to see. I really like the patience from Deity.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, that's a shame. He didn't win the gunfight. For any audio-only listeners, he did die. Asian got the opener. CLB, again, getting started on a pretty good foot. Opening pick. Verticality being established now as well with the boogie drones. 2 more still in pocket. They'll probably be thrown on the other window into mining so that they can open up on either side. Get that extra verticality. Still got Rice, of course, on the buck as well.
Yeah, but it seems like KARN want to still try to go for aggressive plays, and I wouldn't necessarily blame them. Top 4, giving top 4 control over to the attack can kind of go really bad either way. So if like they commit to a bakery push and they have all this vertical control, then you have no place to sit. You can't retake from main corridor, especially if they get wedding and bakery too, and it makes it really hard to really retake into the cooking site. They go for a white stairs push. You can really deny any type of rotation that comes into the double door using the vertical angles that is established just above the site too. And if you are successful with getting VIP, then really Karnico have no way to retake site from any position that they gain here. So like it's kind of like really bad. But I mean CLB, they're kind of like using a lot of time here to like set themselves up, and they only have 55 seconds though.
Yeah, and Carnage now wants to get aggressive, able to slip through the tracks on red stairs, completely undetected, and doesn't commit too early. So it takes an extra rotation up above. You have to hope there's no drone that caught you out, but with all members alive, none of them actively on them, the chances are very good that you're in the clear here. Lucy on the top floor, but no! He heard it! He's looking up through the hatch, and he catches you off guard! Everyone else falls in a flurry of deaths, and it's all down to Foresight, who suddenly found himself all by himself, hat in the middle of a long bar. Gifted at freebies, he catches around the Kaid. No good direction to go. And we were brimming there, Checker, waiting. It's boiling up. You know it's going to come to blows. And immediately everyone dies, but the kill feed's all in favor of blue.
And you had the advantage with the flanks there for Karnico just because of how much time CLB took. It allowed Karnico to rotate themselves in really crucial positions, namely that 3rd, 4th flank. That could have been what like costed CLB that round. Like if you get that 3rd floor flank off through the hatch, you regain control of vertical, and CLB can't really get into a safe position to play anywhere with the defense having control of that vertical just above the site where CLB are trying to execute. Not a good map. I'm so sorry. Like, oh my gosh. That was incredibly dominant from CLB, and Karnico kind of just really gave them nothing to worry about in their attacking half.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's start off. Certified Lover Boys, they played great. Yeah. They did everything they need to do. They were aggressive, they pushed forwards, they took really good gunfights.
Is that it?
KARN & Co. Not your day. Happens. Look, you're still guaranteed, because of earlier performances, into at least the play-ins. It will fall down to other results. We have another game after this one. It'll be soon. It'll be really just literally after this one. So that'll be interesting to see. And you know, KARN & Co. Fate a little bit out of their control, just to see how that one plays out. But I think they've had a really good run here, right? A 3-2 finish is nothing to scoff at. This has definitely been the closer division throughout. Like, this week. I mean, you look at the other side over an XGS, and it's basically KARN and Hikikimori just bullying everyone else, and then it's like who gets to be like the third biggest bully in the tiny little pond and just beat up on all the other kids who are having fun still. So I think this has definitely been a lot tighter, and this game kind of didn't reflect that, right? I think this will be a game that KARN and Co shouldn't take as a fair representation of everything they've done so far, and just come back stronger for the next stage, whether that be the play-ins, whether they get to jump straight into that lower bracket in our playoffs. Either way, I think that's what I want to look forward to. Right? I don't want to dwell too much on this. Look, this is you forget about it. Be a goldfish.
Yeah, but I mean, that also gives an opportunity, at least for Outlast Black, to sneak into that second place position, because if they beat Turtle Tactics today, Outlast Black will be on 12 points. KARN and Co will move to third place. But also,
if they beat them 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0. That is true. Because I think, no way, because KNC lost the head-to-head to Outlast Black. I may be wrong about that, but I'm gonna figure it out. Because
is that the first tiebreak?
That is not the first tiebreaker. So it's points, then it's round difference, and then it's head-to-head. So if Outlast Black did beat them, not even on OPL. So
we're running the calculations here in real time. I think if they're on 9 points, KARN and Co on 11, I think the map differential or round differential is in favor of KARN and Co, and their wins have been more decided.
No, so it's
confident.
It's points, then it's round difference, and then it's head-to-head. Outlast Black currently have the head-to-head over KARN and Co. So even if they win like in 3 maps, they'll overtake them in second spot.
Well, either way, Certified Lover Boys, they've done a stellar job. So that's wonderful to see. They get to skyrocket themselves up with 3 very important points here at the end of their group's run. KARN and Co will find out what happens to them, but that's because we have another game after this one. That's the one that's going to decide things, so make sure you hang around. I mean, I don't know why you want to go anywhere else. We've been having some lovely fun Siege action this evening. I've been Golimolu. Chaka, it's been lovely having you back with me again. It's been a little too long, I think. But unfortunately, we're done for this evening. So we'll say goodbye, but of course, second game, hang around. We're back after a decent-ish break. So be back. We'll catch you in a bit.